And one thing that always stuck with me too, like was always his little mantra was like, seek first to entertain, then to inform. So it's
Mm.
like whatever you're writing, like it had to be entertaining, people had to be into it, and then you could put in whatever you wanted them to get out of it, down the road or
Spoonful of sugar
something.
makes the
But
medicine go down, you know? That's
yeah,
that's really
yeah,
it.
yeah, he was great.
Now, I mean, we have to talk about pipe dreams, you know? I mean, that must have been quite a daunting task for you. You know, from what I've read, like you had the idea and approached Kelly first, but then it didn't materialize for like another year or so. And I was curious, like how that all came about and what the emotions for you were going through that project.
Yeah. So I'd known him, like I said, since we surfed together, and it's not like we hung out. We weren't really like, bros or anything, but I would see him here and there. And um Tony's Tony Hawk's book had just come out, an autobiography that a guy that I worked with at swell.com wrote, who was a good friend of Tony's. And I'm like, wow, that would be cool to do something on Kelly like that, So I reached out, and he's like, yeah, I mean, got too much going on right now. Like, you know, whatever, beat it, kid.
Yeah.
Um, and then, swell.com was the whole like, .com boom.
Yeah.
I worked
Blue
there for a
Torch,
couple of
Hard Cloud,
years. Yeah, that was awesome. Like such an incredible
so much
job.
money.
I had started teaching for a year. And then Steve called me and was like, hey, we're starting this website. You want a
Wow.
job? And so I quit teaching after like 6 months, started working for them from home basically. And then got to sit in my office at home and write this like Surf A to Z, this like encyclopedia thing, and then
Wow.
travel around the world to cover events. They sent me to France for a few weeks. They sent me to Hawaii for a month, sent me like all over the place, South Africa. It was unbelievable. But that, .com bust came 2 years later. Swell laid off all of their staff. And then so all of a sudden I didn't have a job. And somehow, like a month later, Kelly reached back out and was like, hey, remember that book you mentioned? So the publisher that did Tony Hawk's book, like that went really well. So they wanted Kelly to do one. And so I believe Steve was going to do it. But
Wow.
then I think the way it worked, I'm not positive about this, but I think maybe Steve suggested, like, hey, what if, maybe somebody closer to Kelly's age who grew up on the East Coast, so can kind of like get into his head a little bit more in terms
God,
of,
the book we could have had, Jason. Just kidding.
you're right, you're right. I would have much rather read that one. Um, so yeah, they asked me to do it, and it was awesome. Like it never really felt daunting
Mhm.
to me. It was like just so fun. Like, okay, I get to go to Hawaii and like spend a few weeks with Kelly, just, doing interviews, recording like everything he has to say. And then I get to go back and like weave it all together into this story. And, at that point he was just coming back on tour. So
Mhm.
I'd call him wherever he was in the world and like fill in some of the gaps. And then I went down to his house in Florida for a few days, dug through his closets, pulled out all the photos,
No
old photos I
way.
could find, which is really cool. Like, luckily, the publisher let me kind of take charge with it. Like, I
Yeah.
chose every photo, I chose that cover photo. I mean, I got to say, like, put this photo here, this one here, like, this is the way this should be. And I mean, I don't know. I know there's a lot I would change about it, but I can't tell you how many people I've seen who like, oh, I did a book report on that in fifth
Yeah.
grade, or like surfers notoriously don't read a lot in general, I think, as a whole. And I've seen so many people who are like, that's the only book I ever read cover to cover. And I'm like,
Like,
dude,
God help
I
you.
feel bad for you. Yeah. But I mean, it was such a neat experience. It was awesome.
Let me ask, like, how did you prep for that? Like, did you have a structure going into it? Did you lay out, like, storyboard it beforehand, or was it more just like interview and then compile it after? And then how many of the people around Kelly were you able to talk to, and how were you able to get access to everyone?
So I think probably Steve, I'm guessing, gave me some direction, maybe to, I think he said, like, talk to as many people as you can, get a list of, as many pages full of questions as you can from every facet of his, entire existence, and just go through the whole thing. And that's what I did. I had Matt Warshaw send me all the articles he had. He
Yeah.
faxed them, I think, or that. No, I
Right.
think he used to fax me stuff all the time for that Surf A to Z. But for that, he just sent me a whole packet, like with every article ever written on Kelly. And um, so just reading all that stuff and just writing a list. And basically,
Yeah.
like, I had pages and pages and pages, just like each, like, one line about, like, ask Kelly about the time he, did this in at Pipeline, or the time in high school when this happened or whatever. And we just went through. We sat down for weeks, and just I had this little recorder thing, these little mini discs that he got,
Yep.
this recorder in Japan, I think, and he gave it to me to use for that. I still have all the discs, I think.
No way.
Yeah,
You should make an audio podcast out of that. Like, holy
yeah, yeah.
crap,
I mean,
man.
it's like, I don't know, 40 hours or something
Dude,
of
send it to me. I'll
discs
edit that.
probably, but yeah. Um,
That's amazing.
So I just took all that, brought it back home, and just, I didn't have anything to transcribe it with. So, and it's probably good that I didn't, because I kind of
Yeah.
did a lot of work as I was transcribing it, and just, kind of went at it, and just figured it out as I went along, kind of.
Did you get to talk to his father, Botch?
Oh, yeah, that was the other part of that question I forgot
Yeah.
to get into, was
No.
all the people that I spoke to. Yeah. So coincidentally, that year his dad was really sick with cancer,
Yeah.
and he went to Hawaii to watch the Pipe Masters that year. And
Mhm.
it was
The year
really
that
cool. So I got to hang
wow.
out a little bit with them, and it was the first pro contest. Like, since Kelly had turned pro, he had never been to a contest.
Shh.
And Kelly was 30, 31 or something at that point. He'd already won 6 world titles. His dad had never been to one of his pro contests. So,
Wow.
to be there for that was really cool. His dad, like, was so emotional that he couldn't even, like, he had to go hide, basically. Like, he couldn't even, like, be around. It was really
Whoa.
wild to be there for all that. But yeah, Kelly got me access to, Jack Johnson, to, um, basically anyone that I wanted to talk to, he would give me their number. Eddie Vedder.
Pam
Um,
Anderson?
I didn't, you know what? Kelly had a girlfriend at the time who was
Lisa?
not, so I can't remember who it was. I
Some
can't
girl.
remember what her name was, but she wasn't too happy about, any of the Pamela press. So Kelly was he talked about it a little bit, but not much. And, he didn't really want to,
Did
she didn't want him getting too into that, I think.
did you like and what about like his daughter and like that whole relationship and exploring that? Was that difficult to approach him? Well, I mean, in general, how was Kelly, sorry, I call him Slater, but Kelly, like in terms of, you know, approaching the more sensitive topics? Like, did you feel like you needed to walk on eggshells or was he willing to engage?
I think the Pamela thing was the only thing he didn't really get into. Like,
Interesting.
he was pretty open. Like, I would just go down that list, and I would just say, like, what about this? Like something super short. He would go for 20 minutes about that thing. And
Wow.
then I might have some follow-ups based on that, or we might just go to the next thing, and it's that one of the things I would change going back is, there's some things I probably would have gone deeper into, but with his daughter, it was kind of like, he kind of went through, the how that happened, I guess,
Yeah.
and then, like, their relationship a little bit, but not real deep into it. I didn't know what I was doing, so there's a lot of things that could have been better, I
D-
think, with
Do
it.
you think like did he feel like seemed like he was super self-aware. Like it seemed like there was an awareness of
Mm.
himself, his habits, his kind of his flaws and as well as his strengths. Like do you get a sense like he was very conscious of that and how the world sees him?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, he talked a lot about that. I feel like, one of the big things at the time was, what had happened with him being so competitive and, like,
Mhm,
losing friendships over it, and, how that affected him and how he kinda learned to, you know, deal with all that and, kinda work it out with his friends to where, he could have a heat with somebody and still be friends, and, um, because he was I mean, there's in surfing, there's never been a more competitive person,
mhm.
and like that's what made him so great when you couple that with his like just the freakish talent, the desire having grown up in crappy waves on the East Coast, and then that competitive fire, like you put those three things together and it like that's what made him unstoppable.